right, Fangs and Infernos, we are right back at you. We are very, very excited for this one. Very, very honored myself, especially, but the devil, of course, is very, very excited as well. We have been joined by Ve Neill. Thank you so much.
Oscar winner, Ve Neill.
Absolutely. Again, we have been rocking out here at New Jersey HorrorCon, having an absolutely great time. He was the first table that we ran to yesterday to get our personal situation handled, of course. But again, Ve, thank you so much for your time. And how has the weekend been?
Oh, it's been great. There's great fans here. I love coming here. I've done this show before, and it's always been very good for me.
No, absolutely. And of course, Devil knows this is coming. But first and foremost, a little bit about The Lost Boys. How was it doing that movie, and how did the opportunity come across your desk?
Well, I had worked on a movie with Joel Schumacher before, so Joel and I had a very great shorthand with each other. We really liked working together. I love vampires. And I just said, Joel, I'm going to make this fabulous for you. It was probably the most fun I had working on a movie for a very long time. Like, when people say, what was your favorite show to work on? I would always say The Lost Boys.
Oh, that's so awesome. And we'll just keep it rolling real quick there, because in 2 weeks, Ve Neill's Vampire Weekend in Burbank, California.
Yep.
And you have all kinds of talent, Lost Boys, alumni that are going to be there as well. I believe also Father Sebastian, I believe, is also going to be there.
Yes, Sebastian's going to be there with us, yes.
And but just so much going on when it comes to that. And of course, you have already talked about your fondness of vampires. So talk a little bit about the creation of Ve Neill's Vampire Weekend.
Well, this lady came to me and said, "Hey, Ve, we should do a convention." I said, I don't know anything about doing conventions. She goes, but guess what I do? And I went, okay, because this is Tommy Brunswick. She usually does Motor City Nightmares. So she had her company, and we just said, okay, let's put it together. And I said, well, what should we do? She said, well, what should we do? And I said, if we're going to do this, I said, it has to be about vampires, and it has to be in California, because I don't want to leave to go do something somewhere else. It's too hard, especially because this is new territory for me.
Yes.
So that's what we did, and I said, I love this particular venue because Monster Palooza's there, and it's kind of like a home for me.
Oh, nice.
So, that's what we did, and we just started working on it last year. And now we're going to do it.
In 2 weeks in Burbank, California, Ve Neill's Vampire Weekend. Devil, my friend, take it away.
I mean, first of all, because since he went straight to his first love with the Lost Boys, I'm a huge vampire fan. I love Lost Boys. First thing I want to talk to you about is working with the late, great Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman. I'm the biggest Pee Wee Herman and Pee Wee Playhouse fan in the entire world. How was it like working with Paul Rubens?
Paul's amazing. I loved him so much. I was obviously so sad when he passed.
Yeah.
But he was terrific to work with. I mean, what a genius. What an incredible visual man he was.
Yeah.
And just a sweetheart. I really enjoyed working with him so immensely. And we had a very long friendship. I met him when I was doing the film 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And the camera operator on the show came to me one day and he said, "V," he says, I'm producing this weird little show, and we're going to be doing it at the Roxy at midnight on Friday night. He said, do you think you could come and help the guys with makeup? Because you're real, avant-garde. And at the time, I think I had red hair with a purple bat cut in the back of my head or something.
Nice.
And he said, they could really use your help. And I said, really? Friday night after working all week? Oh, God, I don't know. And I thought, oh, well, what the hell, right? So I went over there, and this is when he was just starting the Playhouse.
Yeah,
At that point, it wasn't so much a children's show.
Yeah, the stage show was definitely not very
It
children-like.
was a very body adult show that was totally bizarre, and I wasn't ready for it. You know what I mean? But I went in and I helped Missy Vaughn do her makeup, and I helped the genie. I sort of revamped the genie makeup a little bit enough so we could get it on him and in there, and help guys glue their sideburns on and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
And I remember sitting in the audience, and I was like in the back row, and I'm watching this, and I went, holy shit, who's going to see this? Where are they going to show this? I mean, it was like so raunchy. Raunchy. And I thought, okay, whatever. And I said, and God, that voice. That TV guy, I don't know. Because my friend said to me, his name was Chuck Minsky. Chuck said, well, don't worry about the Pee-wee guy. He does his own makeup. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, yeah, he does his own makeup. That's awful, but okay. And so at the end of the thing, Paul came up to me, and I just barely briefly met him, and he goes, so what did you think of the show? And I said, you want me to tell you my honest opinion or just tell you what you want to hear? And he goes, no, I want to hear your honest opinion. I said, well, I don't know who's going to come and see it. It was pretty raunchy. And I said, and I'm not a prude, but okay. And I said, and I really can't stand your voice. And he looked at me and goes, oh, okay, well, that's honest. And we became fast friends ever since then. And I would have parties at my house, and he'd always come over, and we would just hang out and go out to dinner, and we were friends from then on.
Yeah. And
just because I can't help myself, Lefty from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, and then obviously talking about other people that we've lost before too, with the part with the Oscar-winning makeup doing with Miss Doubtfire, working with the late great Robin Williams. How was that too?
Another angel of a person. I can't say enough good things about Robin. Yeah. He was an incredible man and such a talent and such a terrible loss to the whole community. It was. I mean, I just like Paul. I cried for months after. Robin died
exactly.
Because, like every time somebody mentioned his name, there was always something that come up, But he was an absolute doll, and we stayed friends for years too because I knew the girl who did his makeup most of the time. She would always come and says, "I just saw Robin." He said to make sure that I call you up and tell you hello, and I would say, "Oh, thanks." Or I'd be like shooting on the lot at Warner Brothers and Robin if he was there doing a movie. He was there doing a movie with Billy Crystal. And he rode his bike over one day to say hi to me. He brought me a piece of birthday cake or something one day. It was just bizarre out of the blue, But what a sweetheart! What a lovely man!
And then kind of get out from the sadness and stuff. And we'll talk a bit about things that are glad. I've mentioned before when we came in, but you're basically the envious to every woman, being able to be as close as you have been as many times as Johnny Depp. So, for all the ladies out there, how is it like being close that many times and that many hours with the Johnny Depp?
I used to call him my Johnny, but of course he wasn't mine. But
we won't tell anyone.
What a sweetheart! What an absolute doll! I mean, another perfect gentleman. I just adore it. He loves being in makeup, so you couldn't have a more perfect person to be sitting in your chair because he likes to be made up. He likes to be all these different characters,
Oh, yeah.
It makes him happy, and he basically, you can do whatever you want to him. He doesn't, okay,
nice.
But I can't. We were working on something when we were working on the character for Pirates, and I said, "Oh, Johnny." He says, "I want to have dark eyes like Keith," and I said, "Okay, we're good with that." That's bitchin'. I said, we need to put some cool little things in your beard because it was the only thing he could really grow. So I put little extensions in his beard. And he says, I want to have, in my wig, he said, I want it to be kind of dreads and messy. And he said, and I want stuff in it. And I said, dude, I have been collecting African trade beads and trinkets for 30 years.
Wow.
Because I used to make jewelry. And I said, I've got all kinds of cool shit. So all of those things hanging in his hair was all my beads that I'd saved.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So all of that stuff was out of my personal collection. And I made those and we gave them to the hairdresser and he sewed some of them in and then we sewed the rest of the big long strands in. And it was just fun collaborating with him to create this character.
Yeah.
And I remember when the first time I made him up and he came out all dressed up and he was in wardrobe, the people in Disney were freaking out. And the first couple of days, he wouldn't let them see him. The first couple of days of shooting, they went, oh, we don't know what he is. Is he gay? Is he drunk? What's it's like, it's like, dude, that's that's dark for, the reflection of the sea.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have his sea legs. That's why he's always weeping, And they went, oh. And then when he first came, he had all of his teeth almost all gold in the front. Oh. And the studio said, oh, no, we can't, you can't do that. That's no. And so he said, okay. So then he went and moved the gold off and put a silver and put them off so you could see some of his teeth. And when they kept pestering him to change it, he goes, look, guys, I'm going to do it the way I'm going to do it, or get somebody else. I said, I'm done changing.
Yeah.
And they finally said, okay. And then, of course, after it was like a huge hit, it was like, oh, yeah, that was all our idea.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
No, of course.
And before I kick it off back to Vampire again, though, we were talking about it a little before with Kirkman. It's an awesome seeing, like, the makeup artists and the behind the scenes section of this. You don't really get to meet those people, it's mostly the actors. How was it like, doing Face Off and kind of bringing that makeup artists to the forefront to bring on new generations of people who want to get into the makeup industry?
That show was really fun to do. I was so amazed at what they could pull off literally in like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And, admittedly, the stuff was falling apart as we were like shooting it, basically. But you could tell, they had a lot of talent, and some of it was like, yes, that's a really good blueprint. If you had 3 weeks instead of 3 days,
well,
you can
yeah,
imagine what they could have done,
Yeah, definitely.
And I had like a producer, like I was doing an interview on some show, and they said to me, "What's your biggest fear about Face Off? Like how this is all going to end?" I said, "My biggest fear is that the producers are actually going to think that it only takes 3 days to make this thing."
Well, yeah.
That is my biggest fear, because of course it takes more than 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
If 3 days for an idea, sure.
Yeah, it's all those shows like that, where you watch like the baking shows and they got like 5 hours to make it. Well, yeah, it looks nice because that guy took 12 hours to make his cake. So of course, the 3 hours you're not going to get a product that looks amazing. But yeah, it's crazy with some of the stuff that they had on that show with the little bit of time that they had was amazing.
And you have to remember, it's like once they were done, there was another crew that came in and ran all those prosthetics for them overnight.
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff had to be run overnight, and if they got a shitty run, oh well, that's all they could do. You know? So they had to make sure they could make their molds the best that they could, so they could get a good run. And it was all foam latex. We didn't really have silicone going on a lot back then, but they did an amazing job for what they had to do. Amazing.
Absolutely. No, thank you, Devil. And of course, we don't want to eat up too much of your time and allow your fans to be able to meet you and you enjoy your weekend. But of course, we do need to cover, say it once, say it twice, third time's the charm. Beetlejuice, of course. And I also want to make it sort of a two-part question, simply about, of course, doing the makeup for Michael, being involved in the movie, but then, of course, you have such a long history now of just working with Tim Burton in general.
Right, yeah, Tim Burton's fantastic. The last film I actually did with Tim was Sweeney Todd.
Yeah,
love that movie so much.
And it was the last film I did with Johnny as well, because, I went on to other stuff. I started doing the Hunger Games, and then what we did was Joel Harlow, who was my assistant on the pirate films, who used to take care of Johnny a lot. He started doing Johnny's makeup for some of the other films that Johnny was doing, and then they became a team for a while. And that was really great, because Joel was a really great fit for Johnny, because Johnny really didn't have anybody to hang out with, you know what I mean? And he wouldn't hang out with me. I'm an older woman, and it's like, and it would be weird anyway. So he had another guy to hang out with, and Joel is really good at sculpting and painting, which Johnny really wanted to get better at. And so Joel helped Johnny with his sculpting and painting, and it was a really good fit. And off they went. But Tim Burton was fantastic to work with. I really enjoyed working with Tim. But he makes most of his movies now over in Europe. And they don't let us go to work with Europe, so that's why I haven't worked with him.
Oh, got you. And how was it with Michael doing his makeup and everything
that was
with
fun
that?
Because initially when I got the job, I had just come off of Lost Boys, and Bo Welch was the production designer on both of those films, and he said, "I got this movie, you got to get over there, And so I figured out who was working in the production office, and I just called until they got me an interview with Tim. And I remember when I went in for the interview with Tim, they were in a crappy old trailer on the back lot at Culver City Studios. I mean, we were a Warner Brothers film, but we didn't have any money. They just stuck us on another lot. They didn't even want us on the Warner Brothers lot. And anyway, they were in this old construction trailer, and there was corkboard up on the wall, and it had these like kind of crumpled up pictures of like a guy looked like a derelict, in a trash can, basically. I don't know, digging around it. And I thought, well, what is that? Who is that supposed to be? And then when I finally got in and talked to Tim, he goes, "Oh yeah, that's Beetlejuice." And I went, "Oh." So when I started doing test makeups for him, when I first did him, he kind of looked like a derelict and kind of creepy. And Tim says, "Oh no, we can't look at him. He's gross." I said, "Yeah, okay." So I finally, after a couple of tries, I said, I tell you what, we've already done test makeups on all the other people. I said, why don't you just let me go back and do what I want to them and see what happens? And he goes, okay, go. So
Nice.
he just let me have full range, and I went back and I said, okay, I don't want him to be as colorful as the other characters because he is sort of an outcast. So I said, let's just do him pastel like we were going to do the other characters, but let's do him like a pale yellow. Absolutely. And then I did like dark brown and purple around his eyes, and we gave him that hideous, nasty. God, that wig was originally platinum, and we dyed it green and yellow and beige and all these colors. So when it finally came out, it was literally a bunch of weird colors, you know. And then in person, you look at it, you think, oh, that's nasty. I mean, and I wanted him to look like he had crawled out from underneath a rock, so I put all the moss all over him, and it was just sort of an evolution, you know. And Michael didn't want to have his normal nose. He said, well, can I have a broken nose? I think we don't have a budget for this, you know. As it was, we were making our own bald caps.
Oh.
And my assistant, Steve Laporte, made his teeth for him because he made them at home. And I said, Steve, do you have any broken noses from some other movie you've done? He goes, no, but he says, I have some swollen lips. And I went, okay. So we just took these swollen lips that he has, we glued one on this side and one on that side, and gave him a broken nose.
Oh, wow, that's hilarious.
And that's what we used for the whole movie, was the swollen lips on his nose.
Oh, wow. One other thing also real quickly with your relationship with Johnny is, of course, I can imagine, Devil, and I can imagine that you would have watched, Lily Rose growing up.
Yes, I remember when she was a baby.
Absolutely. So how has it been for you as, watching your Johnny Depp's little one come into this world and most recently, of course, joining the vampire genre?
Yes, she's an amazing little actress. She's phenomenal. I mean, she is her father's child.
Yeah, of course.
And she had a beautiful mother who was very talented as well. So There you go.
Absolutely. And one more thing, of course, Devil, that I feel we can't let V continue on without us discussing real quick is how did it feel for you having your work 3 times acknowledged on the biggest, stage of them all?
Well, it was wild. The first time was really scary because I thought for sure Rick Baker was going to win for Coming to America.
Coming to America. That was the same year as Beetlejuice?
Yes. And of course he should have won an Oscar for that. It was amazing. But he had already won like 5 at that point. I think they got tired of giving them to him every year. I'm not sure. But Beetlejuice was such a departure from anything that anybody had ever seen.
Yeah.
And, it's funny. I knew we won because Robert Downey Jr. and oh my gosh, the actress, they did a TV show together. Blonde actress. I'm so embarrassed. Anyway, gave us our award. She could not pronounce Sybil Shepherd. Sybil could not pronounce my name, and I knew immediately because Robert grabbed it out of her hand. I knew immediately that we won because she didn't know how to say my name. Because the other guys were easy, but V is a weird name.
Yeah, it's spelled like a letter.
And she hadn't said it to begin with. He had named the name, so he knew how to say it.
Oh, wow.
And I was almost out of my chair before he said it, and it was like I leaped up, and I felt like I was running up there, and I thought, God, I hope the boys are behind me, but I don't care. I'm going,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got up there, and it's funny. There's they have a luncheon for all of the nominees ahead of time, and they say, now everybody, you're going to get up there. There's a big screen. It's going to start counting down. You'll see the numbers. This will happen and that'll happen, and yada yada yada. And don't saunter up there. You just won an Oscar. Run up there, and of course I did. And and I'm thinking, okay, so we get up there. I don't remember seeing a freaking thing. It was just white light. I have never been higher in my entire life. And I thought, holy shit. I got backstage and I said to Steve, Steve, did you see the screen? Did you see anything? He went, no, I didn't see anything. we're like little kids going, So that's how that was.
Oh, that's awesome.
I thought, if I ever get up here again, I'm going to pay attention, And we did, of course.
And you did 2 more times.
2 more times, absolutely. Well, V, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us. It really is an honor. We really are fans and are so appreciative of your work, and we can't wait to continue watching where else you take us. So we really appreciate it.
Last summer, I just did a little vampire film with some friends of mine called The Wolf and the Lamb, so keep an eye out for it.
Oh, nice.
And it's a Western vampire movie.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It takes place in the West. They never call them vampires because they don't know what they are at that point.
Right. Nope, absolutely. So Fangs and Infernos, we're going to get out of V's makeup chair, and we appreciate you guys so much. We'll be back with you guys in a little bit from here at New Jersey HorrorCon. I'm Vampire, he's the Devil, but most importantly, she is Academy Award winner, Ve Neill. V, again, thank you so very much.
Guys, thank you very much.
Horns up, Fangs out.